whole city. It's a Dish with Deeva Show. Here she is, the one and only K-Cee Deeva.
The one and only. What up, peeps? It's your girl K-Cee Deeva. We're back for another edition of Dish with Deeva. How's everybody doing? Day before Thanksgiving. You know, maybe you're in the kitchen while you're tuning in, or still got some last minute cooking to do. Preparations for tomorrow. Maybe you've been cooking all week. Maybe you're that person. Anyway, either way, we're welcoming you here to the show once again. I'm really excited because we have a really good show tonight. I've got some awesome guests that I'll introduce in just a couple minutes. But I want to remind you all, if you want to come on the show, you got a topic you want me to talk about, hit me up on all the platforms. K-Cee Deeva, notice how it's spelled on the screen there. YouTube, K-Cee Deeva Shows. Be sure to like, subscribe, send it out. IG, MZ K-Cee Deeva, Ms. K-Cee Deeva, and then K-Cee Deeva on Facebook. K-Cee Deeva Shows on Twitter as well. So you know where to find me. So I hope you'll hit me up or just say hi. Anyway, I have a really interesting topic tonight. You know, I've seen the movie The Woman King. I've also seen Wakanda Forever. Of course, I've seen Black Panther. I think I saw that one about 3 or 4 times back when it came out in 2018. And we're just noticing this trend of a lot more female leads, and not just female leads, but Black female leads in movies and TV, in commercials even, you know. So I want to talk about it because I've seen some mixed kind of comments and debates and such on social media. So I thought I'm going to have 2 people on that I know that are pretty well versed in all things entertainment and media, and get their perspective on some of what I've been hearing and reading. So first off, of course, ladies first, I'm going to introduce Sharon Nairi Williams. Sharon, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Now, if you're a fan of the show, you watch the show, you know Sharon's been on numerous times. She is the executive director for CD Forum here in Seattle, Washington. She is a playwright. She is a spoken word artist. She's an actress, director, producer. The list goes on and on and on. Artist, literal artist. She does it all. So I'm excited to have her back. And then also joining us all the way from Kansas City, Missouri, Mr. Eric Lacey. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Eric, I met Eric through my peeps in Kansas City. Hello, peeps. My cousins, my auntie, my uncle who reside in Kansas City. My cousin, Andre, introduced me to Eric a while back. Said, hey, there's this guy. He's pretty knowledgeable on all things entertainment. You might want to chat with him. And Eric's been on the show before as well. And I actually gave him his title of entertainment historian, because you can literally mention any topic and he can give you like from A to Z stuff that I never knew. So welcome to the show, Eric. And shout out to mom and dad watching today. Hi, mama. Hi, daddy. Hey, little bro. AC Soul. Did my theme music. Did my theme music and working on new theme music for the new year. Oh, he doesn't know about that yet. Anyway, all right. Let's go.
Volunteer, my man.
That's the baby brother before, though, right?
Show has just been demonstrated right there and done.
yeah, right. Done. All right, let's go ahead and dive on in. So what I want to talk about today is I mentioned the 2 movies, Wakanda Forever, The Woman King. And we've seen this trend where we're seeing more Black female leads in movies, in television series, in commercials even. It's something that we haven't always seen. We don't see a lot of representation when it comes to Black folks, period. But especially for Black women, a lot of the roles are very stereotypical, and we're seeing this trend in this new era in 2022. Everything from body positivity to, do what you want with your hair, wear it natural, wear the weave, whatever makes you comfortable, shave it off, do whatever. And, we're just seeing this free to be us kind of thing happening here. And it's very liberating for most. Good to see. But when these two movies came out, and I'll start with The Woman King, I started to notice on social media there were these comments that were popping up and these conversations that were happening and literal debates between men and women, where comments, I've seen black men make like, I don't know about these movies like The Woman King, and then you've got Wakanda Forever, where now the sister is, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, you cover your ears during this part, folks, but the sister is now the new Black Panther, and has a very strong, she's the lead character in Wakanda Forever. There's been some contention about that, which really surprises me. Because we don't get a lot of those chances. So you would think that people would be, men and women, especially in the community, would be happy. But there's a lot of men that are saying that it's a narrative being pushed by Hollywood, maybe to emasculate the Black man. I am woman, hear me roar. We don't need men. I even had someone tell me that saw Wakanda Forever, like, yeah, movie was okay, but all the men were gone, which wasn't true because there were men in there. Michael B. Jordan. So, and so anyway, I want to have the conversation today, in all seriousness, to figure out what is the big deal. First of all, the question is for both of you: do you agree that with what we're seeing in this trend in Hollywood and movies now with more Black women in lead roles, and some might say even roles that traditionally would be for men, right? Like, so Black Panther, was Chadwick Boseman, rest his soul. Of course, you can't replace Chadwick Boseman. They can't put another male in that role. That wouldn't even make any sense, and there would have been a lot of backlash. So the way they did it was the sister, became the Black Panther, and a lot of people have an issue with it. So, Sharon, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that it's some hidden agenda, by Hollywood to try to emasculate Black men?
Well, I think if you go and take a look at who runs Hollywood, you would know right off top that we're not in control and they don't want Black men at the top. And so I could go along with that, right? That they don't want to see Black men be too powerful. At the same time, I can say that it's systemic, right? It's a systemic issue that's always been here, and it goes back to slavery days, if you want to take it all the way back there, to where when the families came out, when they got the families, the first thing they did was take the Black man out. And so it's like we've been seeing that time and time again, right? But then you have to also look at the here and now too, or the most recent, right? If you look at, I was thinking about this conversation, and I was thinking about Martin Luther King. I was thinking about Malcolm X. I was thinking about Medgar Evers, all Black men that died very young, and women are here. Chadwick Boseman died very young, and his wife is left here. And so I think there are times when Hollywood wants to demasculate Black men, but at the same time, I am overseeing Black women be prostitutes, be the help, always crying, being very vulnerable all the time. So why can't we be strong?
All right, Eric, same question.
Well, let me say this. If your masculinity can be taken away from you by a movie, by pixels on a screen, your masculinity is already in question to begin with. Okay? If you're so in your feelings about your masculinity that it can be disturbed by a movie, by pixels on the screen, you have some work to do in being masculine. If let's just assume there is an agenda to take away your masculinity, or Hollywood's agenda to take away your masculinity, as opposed to, as Sharon mentioned, as opposed to or compared to what the Black family went through in slavery, as opposed to what the black family went through in Jim Crow. That's a lot less invasive and oppressive than what black people, our ancestors, have dealt with historically. And if your masculinity can be taken away by a movie, you don't have much masculinity to begin with. And those are just the facts. It's a first world problem. Now,
speak.
You know, it's a first world problem compared to what our ancestors had to go through. So you might want to check yourself and really look deep inside yourself to say, why are you so threatened by a movie? And let me speak on the fact that, you know, I compare gender inequality with a lot of racial inequality. There have been in the history of Fortune 500 companies, right at 16 black CEOs. There have been four black governors, 11, somewhere around 11 black senators, 1 black president, and about 3 black Supreme Court justices. It's like when those people say, "Oh, the black people are taking over everything." Let's face it. In movies, superhero movies and other movies, Superman usually saves Lois Lane. The overwhelming majority of movies, men save women. So it's very and it's very hypocritical for black men to get mad at a movie where a woman or a black woman has her shine, because we know how we felt, black people in general felt, when movies were portrayed as black people as being, you know, either vulnerable, stupid, dumb. And we were happy as all get out when Black Panther came out. The black man was finally seen to be the hero. So now a black woman gets her shine and black men are in their feelings about it. And that's just not fair. That's just not fair. We had our time to shine. Let the sisters do their thing. But there's some other things that I want to add to that. But yeah, you know, if black men can have their shine, and we were upset when black men were portrayed, or black people in general were portrayed as less than, and then we were happy when Black Panther came out and black men got to shine in the superhero movie. I find it just fair that for once, or even, you know, 20 times out of all the movies in Hollywood, you know, let's just say 20 movies where black women got to be the lead and got to do something positive. Out of the hundreds of thousands or millions of movies that's been made, we're going to worry about the 20 movies that y'all get to do something?
No. Exactly. Well, you know, and I want to go back to Sharon's point. You know, she said, you know, she's tired of seeing black women, especially in roles as the prostitute, you know, the crackhead. You know, it makes me even think about, you know, when Halle Berry won her Oscar for Monsters Ball, right? Yes. You know, everybody was like, okay, I was super happy for her. You know, anytime we win one of those, it's like a huge deal. But then you know, the conversation then was like, okay, but for that role, you know,
you're not going to see Ice Cube treat Gwyneth Paltrow or Angelina Jolie on the screen like that. That's not going to happen. Am I wrong? Am I right? That's not going to happen.
But
Sharon, go ahead.
At the same time, right? Like, everybody's talking about this, and it's like, well, not everybody, because I didn't even know this was happening until you brought it up to me. I was like, what? Like,
a lot of people are talking about
what's going on? But at the same time, if you don't like what's on the screen, get your computer out, start writing the story that you want to see.
Okay.
Stop depending on other people to do your story. Stop depending on other people to produce your story. Yes. Yeah. Ryan Coogler was he got screenplay credit on this film, Black Man, right? 2 black men, as a matter of fact, but the film was produced by a white company. So, so he did what he had to do to make the film. And why? Like, so you have Black Panther, the first one, where everybody's kind of strong. But then you have the second one to where the women are really coming up and being strong. And why does it have to be either or?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too. Well, you know, and it's interesting because I read an article earlier today where they were talking about Marvel Comics, and some of the discussions that I saw in the chat as well were you know, is this going to drive the white traditional white audiences, right? Those comic book folks that like follow the comic books and look at the movies and critique them, whatever. Is it going to drive the white audiences away? In fact, the headline was is Wakanda Forever too woke for America? That was the headline. What do you think about the headline, Sharon?
First of all, anybody that put the word woke and it talks about something regarding Black folks, I lose all respect for you right away. And who cares what the white people do? I'm so like, why do I care? Yeah, it's a crossover thing, right? If you want to make this film has made hundreds of millions of dollars already, right?
181 million.
Thank you. And
so far,
did that happen, or they're not going to watch the next one? And what do you want? Like, do you want it to be based off the comic? Do you want it to be something special? Like, we can't satisfy everybody,
right?
And so I think when people start to question if something that is Black related has to be crossover related, right? It has to cross into other cultures and all of that in order for it to be deemed successful, then the problem is bigger than in any movie can tell you or show you in America. We have a racist problem in America and throughout the world, right? So let's just say that, and let's just deal with the real issues and not try to put it in an industry that can't handle it, right? You don't put all of your racial issues in entertainment. This is entertainment. This is entertainment.
That gets me. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I can't believe some of the comments that I've seen. And, it's like, wow, like we're talking about a comic book movie, and people have made it this like, it's almost like taken away from the joyful experience it's supposed to be. Going back to what Eric said about, people being, the Black community being excited that finally we have a superhero, the Black Panther, a Black male lead, and a movie about, us. And then Wakanda Forever, same thing. And not only that, with Wakanda Forever, they also had other brown people in there, Pacific Islanders in there, and so to see an article that says, the diversity of this film is scaring people off. I mean, what does that tell you about where we live? Eric, go ahead.
Look, it reminds me, I understand that a couple weeks ago with this is in response to the too woke question. I understand a couple weeks ago, people were offended at The Little Mermaid or some other movie with a Black, and especially with Wakanda Forever. This is a fictional movie, so tell whatever story you want. And people were mad at The Little Mermaid for having a Black mermaid. It's like, so we're going to argue over non-realistic, non-reality things? How can that be too woke when it's a fairy tale? We can't have Black people in a fairy tale? Really? That's kind of sad. And you can't have, like you said, it speaks to a different issue. Sorry, I'm having an allergy something here, but it speaks to a different issue. If we can't tell a fictional story, that's a problem.
And the thing is that we're small in number when we look at Black people, right? We're somewhat small in number, so they say, right? And so we don't have and I've said this time and time again, we don't have the numbers in how much we're producing as far as work to have an equal balance of everything, right? Where we producing enough film. This is we have two films in this year that have Black strong women fighting. right?
And,
Two films.
Yeah.
Out of all the films that were made. And so it's just a small number that you can just nitpick at because we don't have the numbers. We're not making hundreds of Black films a year. We get maybe 10 and we're like, oh, let's talk about that one. And that has to win. And you want your Black film to be everything. You want it to educate your children. You want it to make the Black family strong. You want it to entertain you. You want it to be dope. You want it to be culturally specific. But you want everything in one basket. We don't have to have one. Just like they made Wakanda Forever, people can make something else. Stop just look at the bigger picture. We got bigger issues in our community than what a film is doing.
Yeah.
And like I said, if your masculinity is already, if you can be emasculated by a film, you got bigger problems, And then also, like I said, Black men were happy and Black women were happy to see Black Panther 1, where, hey, a Black man was doing something. We should be just as happy for y'all. I'm always going to say that.
Here's the other thing too. I'll say, here's the other thing too is the movie itself. It's so much, and it to me, again, as I'm reading all these different conversations online, it lends to how shallow society can be. The movie did a great job of memorializing Chadwick Boseman from the beginning. In the Marvel emblem where they had his face, where every film they have the Marvel, a Marvel logo, and it's just Marvel, and they actually had his face there. From that point, and just the way they did the movie in general, the storyline, the sisters' turmoil dealing with their brother's death, and some other things that happened. It was so much more than just she was, out. In fact, there weren't a lot of fight scenes. That's the thing, and that's something else people were talking about, is that how great it was that they actually, made this storyline where it talked about, kind of, especially in this day and age now where a lot of people are dealing with, the mental aspects of the pandemic and everything that's happened, losing loved ones. It was just very well done. It was very well done. And I feel like that was overshadowed, with these conversations I'm seeing, and so when you see the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Hold on. AC, hey, baby bro, AC Soul says, yeah, the tribute to Chadwick, it was excellent. It was so well done, very classy. But something I want to talk about too here were some stats I found when it talks about Black female leads. This says Black girls and women are 6.5% of the U.S. population. However, only 3.7% of lead and co-lead roles in the 100 top grossing films of the last decade is the percentage of Black leads, female leads, and co-leads that we've seen. So we're talking a decade, so that's 10 years. So we've only seen 3.7%, and like Sharon just said, you guys are getting all up in arms over 2 movies. Like,
yeah, and again, Black women were happy when Chadwick Boseman, when King T'Challa, you were happy to see Black Panther. You were happy to see a Black man doing something. We should be just as happy for y'all. We should. I'm sorry. And the mere fact that we're not happy to see a movie that's featuring Black women shining, that's a problem. And,
so what?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what do we do? What do we do? I mean, how do we, to both of your points, there's bigger things, bigger issues in the Black community that we need to address, that we need to, have discussions about, discussions like this. How do we get that connection? How do we stay connected? How do we change the narrative and the negative, if you will, of, there's no men and there's not enough men in this movie, or, focusing on that versus all the other issues that we're having to deal with, Sharon, what are your thoughts on that? How do we even begin to have those conversations?
I think having the conversation, right? I think the best part about any in being an artist and working with artists, the best part about creating projects is to spark conversation, right? To have these conversations, and hopefully tomorrow over Thanksgiving dinner there will be some really good conversations, but families can still stay together. Like you can have agree to disagree and get it in. You know, talk about the movie, talk about how you feel, and just have the conversation. But at the same time, take a look around you and take a look at what's going on. Right. My sister works in public schools, and Black girls are fighting. They are fighting more than the boys are fighting. They are getting suspended. They are getting expelled. It is a problem that people aren't paying attention to, that Black girls are getting it in when it comes to trying to stand up for themselves in school in a way that's not appropriate. And so pay attention to other things that are happening in the community. Pay attention as what's happening at your table. Pay attention around all the gun violence, all the homelessness, all those things, and say, what is something that you can do for your community? Have this conversation, get people together that you don't normally get together to have this conversation, to build community. The only way that we will make our community stronger is if we talk to each other and respect each other and figure out what we need to do.
I couldn't agree more. And support each other as men and women. We don't need to be like infighting. We need to be uplifting each other, right? Because we're the only ones that will. Eric, what are your thoughts?
You know, I think you answered the question earlier. How do you change the narrative? And you said, you know, essentially get off your rear end and write your own. You know, start writing your own movies. You create the narrative. America was taken quite violently. It was a lot of hard work, and no one's going to give you what they got because you asked nicely for it. You're going to have to take it. And so with that being said, Black women or whoever else is just going to have to start writing more movies. What's the kid's name from Blackish that wrote her own movie?
Oh, I can't call her name. I know you're talking about.
You know, she got off she got off and she got it done. You know, and no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. So my answer to that question is Black women are going to have to write their own narrative, and they're going to have to write their own projects and their own movies. You know, they're going to have to get it done themselves.
And we're seeing more and more of that, you know, right? We're seeing more and more of that. And I'm hoping we'll see, you know, even more where, you know, Black women, you know, are producers, you know, are directors. You know, it's much more than just being a pretty face on the screen now. You know, they're actually getting behind the cameras and running things. You know,
I like to see it where they're executively producing movies.
Yeah, I mean, get that credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Issa Rae, right? Do your thing, right?
Yes, love her. Yes.
And really recognize that you don't have to dim somebody else's light in order for your light to shine.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you just know when to step up and step back, step up and step back. Do what you have to do that. Like, I like to see all my friends, whether they male, female, whether they're cis, non-binary, whatever. I like to see them all shine. And so why can't we just see everybody shine or help and figure out how to help those people shine?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll say this again. We should have been happy for y'all like y'all were happy for us with Black Panther. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. Black men should have been like, hey, my sisters are doing it. They're doing it in this movie. I can't wait till Black women executively produce a movie like Black Panther that makes hundreds of millions of dollars. Like to see them be the money behind it. Like to see them write it. Like to see them star in it. We should have been just as happy for y'all. I'm sorry, and that is a black mark on us. We should have been more happy for y'all. I'm sorry.
Just like I was happy Miles Monroe was Superman. I was like, yes, King, let's go. I mean, let's get excited. Like, Yeah, I like what A said. Mario Van People said ages ago,
Mm-hmm.
behind the camera.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, he
beyond
said
the
that
camera,
years ago.
right?
I remember him saying that.
You know, and that's why things like Tyler Perry having his studio is important.
Yeah. Yes,
That's
for
why
sure.
owning your material is important.
Yeah, owning your
Not
masters.
just making the music and waiting for somebody
Yeah.
to sign you, making sure you own your music.
Owning your masters. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Preach,
saying?
preach.
Like, there's
Yes.
a lot of work that we have to do as Black creatives and entrepreneurs in order to uplift. Make sure that you have your stuff copyrighted, so your family, if something happened to you, your family get what they need to get in royalties and things of that nature. Yo, big picture, stop playing.
And the thing is, you're gonna have to do it yourself. You can't wait on someone else to do it for you or to save you. You're gonna have to do it yourself.
You got to put in the work.
Yeah. You got to put in the work, and also, when we are running things and owning studios and things of that nature, we can give others a chance, right? Because as we know, I mean, those chances, those opportunities, they aren't going to be handed to you. They don't come easily. And for years, many, many, many years, we've been beating down the doors, of Hollywood, actors trying to get roles. Sheryl Lee Ralph, getting her Emmy and that wonderful speech she did. And, it's just the persistence. It's the persistence, the patience, the perseverance, and making your own way.
And you have to understand, specifically for Wakanda Forever, they had a script before Chadwick died. Chadwick died. They had to go back, rewrite while they're grieving to have something for us as a community to watch.
That's huge. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I cried through the whole movie. It was, the minute his picture came on the screen, I mean, it was just like waterfalls, And what was beautiful about it too was it was silent. I mean, you hear the crunching of popcorn and people sitting and rattling their ice and it's just like all of a sudden the whole theater just went quiet. Like you could hear a pin drop. And I've heard that from several people that have seen it. They're like, in that opening scene where they do the montage of and all the images of him, it's just quiet. People coming in just stopped. Like it was, so yeah, I think we have to revel in those moments. We're out of time. So I want to thank both my guests for joining me. This is a really interesting conversation. We'll definitely have to have you both back because I'm sure this is something that we could go on and on about because there's going to be future stories and future topics around this sort of thing. Thank you, Ms. Sharon Nyree Williams, for joining me. Thank you, Eric Lacey, for joining me. And thank you all for watching. I'll be back next week with another show. Happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much.
Ready for that.
Oh, go ahead. It's one day.
Get it in.
Thanksgiving plans. Sharon, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Are you cooking?
Oh no. I ordered.
Eric, are you cooking?
I ordered the honey baked ham and had it mailed to the house.
Hey, that's honey baked ham. You can't go wrong with honey baked. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me again, and we'll have to do this again. It's been a lot of fun. All right, later.